So now it is that your girl's recording. Let's go ahead and let's get into this next reaction, shall we? Now, Black Cape, shout outs to you. The Equalizer, the Menace in Black Air Force or Forces. I like this movie. So without further ado, let's go ahead. Let's start this up, shall we?
So y'all talk about the John Wicks, the Jack Reachers, even James Bond. But do y'all know about
James
Robert
Bond.
McCall? You better find out. So Mr. McCall presses up at this restaurant, usually during those demon hours, right about the same time you're reaching for that lotion by your bedside. He just be there sipping his tea, reading, and minding his business. Then there's Terry, a teenage girl who's always at the spot chatting to him. You might be wondering, why is she out so late? Well, Terry works for a Russian company that's the real life version of OF. So one day Terry is chilling at the spot with Mr. McCall, just chopping it up, when she gets a call from Slavy.
And you know what else is massive?
Her pimp named Slickback, telling her that Peter Griffin booked her. Basically Chris Browns her every time she gets booked.
Damn. Oh
and
my
asks
goodness.
if she could go with someone else. But Slavy's like, nah, he wants you. And the worst part, Brody was already waiting outside. Like, damn nigga, how quick? You can see her eyes tearing up right before she leaves. And of course Mr. McCall's clocking the whole thing, feeling bad for her. She leaves the restaurant and gets in the car. The next day, Mr. McCall returns to the restaurant, carrying a small cake for Terry. She greets him with a smile and hesitates for a moment before asking, do you mind if I sit next to you? Her voice is soft, you can tell she's kind of unsure. McCall nods, gesturing to the seat beside him. As she sits down, his eyes immediately catch the faint bruise on her face. Like, what the fuck was Peter Griffin doing? Was he trying to fight or was he trying to have a good time? Cause shit, nigga, he could have paid me. I would have gladly pulled up and ran this fade. But I guess he likes bashing little girls. They start talking for a bit and he can tell she's broken, lost in her own world. He tells her straight up, you could be whatever you want, but you gotta change your world first. He walks her home trying to
Wild.
show her a different way. Just before they get there, Slavy pulls up in the whip. He steps out all hostile and hits Terry with the, what did you do to my customer? Terry's like, he hit me so I hit him back. Then Slavy smacks her. McCall about to step in, but Terry shakes her head, telling him everything's okay. Meanwhile, this nigga standing here low-key clutching his gun, just in case Brody try to pull something stupid. Slavy yanks Terry into the whip and turns to McCall like, this girl, no good. Call this number, I'll send you another one. He hands McCall the card, then drives off like nothing. A couple days go by and McCall doesn't see Terry at the diner. Now he's starting to worry. The next day, Frank, the shop owner, tells him she's in hospital. They beat her up bad. McCall wastes no time and heads straight to the ICU. When he gets there, it's worse than he imagined. Terry is barely recognizable. Her friend is there sitting by her bedside holding her hand. McCall doesn't say a word. He just watches from a distance. But the look in his eyes said it all. You knew right there and then shit was about to get wicked. So Slavy and his crew are posted up at the restaurant, counting bread, taking shots, getting lit. And out of nowhere, McCall just walks in. And they're confused, cause how the fuck did he just get past security? Slavy's like, are you lost, the dushu? And listen, I don't even know what that means, but that shit just sounds nice. The dushu. McCall walks right up to him, pulling out that card that Slavy gave him days ago. I'm here for that girl. Slavy's all like, man, I hand out lots of cards. You gotta be a bit more specific. Then they all start laughing. Her name's Alina. Slavy smirks and says that name doesn't ring a bell. But whoever she is, she must have gave you that hot tour for you to walk up in here like this. But McCall stays calm and puts an envelope on the table with 9,800 cash. Slavy's in disbelief. Ain't no way this man's about to drop damn near 10 bands for one piece of coochie. Slavy reaches out about to shake McCall's hand, but pulls him in instead. He smirks and says, you think 9,800 is enough? I make that off Terry in 2 weeks. She's still a child. I got people like P. Diddy paying top dollar for her. Now grab your money and get the fuck out of here. McCall's like, I bet. Grabs his envelope, tucks it in his pocket, and starts walking towards the door. He opens it slightly, peeking outside to check the hallways. Then this nigga shuts the door and locks himself in. And motherfuckers know, if you're bold enough to lock yourself in a room with straight killers, it's either you're crazy or you're a straight demon. McCall scans the room.
Hey, listen. If you go ahead, you play it cool and everything, and you look out the door, and you go ahead and lock it, one or two things is about to happen. And both answers, including somebody gonna get murked. But the real question is, who is it gonna be? Is it gonna be you or is it gonna be those other people? The choice is yours.
Room, quickly sizing up his situation, then starts the timer. As he's walking forward, the dude by the door tries to flank him from behind, but McCall grabs his arm, clips him in the jaw, then hits a smooth 360 spin, shooting Slavy right in the neck. Damn. He snatches a shot glass off the table and yanks it in Brody's eye. Nigga about to wake up like Nick Fury. The big fella charges in with the knife, but McCall hits him with a sidestep, grabbing his arm, activating Uno reverse, and diving the blade right into his chest. Another nigga tries to rush him from the side, but McCall has the running gun. He sees everything, blocking his punch, then yanking the knife out of Brody's chest and slicing his neck, then slams his face on the table. Brody, who just ate 2 slices to the chest, stumbles back only to catch 2 more and head straight to the shadow realm. The last dude grabs a liquor bottle, swings it at McCall, but McCall weaves that shit, snatches the bottle opener, and just looks at him like, it's up, gang. He tries to swing again, but gets shanked in the shoulder, then the gut. But homie was still going, so McCall blocks him, stabs him under the arm, then grabs his head and delivers one more to the gut, then twists the blade. Nah, this nigga's on demon time. He pulls it out and sticks it right under his chin, and you can see that shit coming out of his mouth. Like McCall ain't really playing around. And the craziest part, this nigga spoke Russian the whole time. He's like, Punyato. Nigga drops to the ground and he stops his timer. He walks up to Slavia and was like, you should have just taken the money. Now look at you, dead. So after that squad wipe, McCall just goes back to his regular warehouse
28
job
seconds.
like nothing. Nigga, that looks like where I work. Meanwhile, Slavy's boss, MRMDGNG, aka Teddy, flies in because his crew got wiped out and now he's gotta handle all this mess himself. And I can't lie, this dude wasted no time. He wanted answers but wasn't getting any, so he pulled up on Detective Looney like, we pay you good money for you to sit around and do nothing. Looney clearly wasn't feeling his turn, so he says some slick shit. I don't like you Russians, y'all think y'all can pull up to America and run shit? Next thing you know, pop, Teddy smacks him with a brick and Frank pops both guards at the door. Teddy starts giving him all types of face shots, pause, then a knee to the chest and one to the cranium, but he wasn't done. He starts yamming his shit on the ground, yank, 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 knocking him out. And he did all this just to send a message to let everyone in America know that he's here. And listen, if I worked for him, I would have tapped in, because that's a message loud enough for me to get the memo. So Ralphie, McCall's friend, suddenly quits his warehouse job, which throws McCall off because he was literally training him to be the security guard there. He decides to check up on Ralph, only to find out that these 2 shady cops have been extorting Ralph's mother, making her pay weekly interest or else they'll keep torching up her shop. Fast forward to next week when these dirty cops roll up. McCall catches them lacking outside. He pulls up the video of them threatening Ralph's mom and was like, if you don't return every single cent you took from her, you wake up with this footage all over the news, Facebook, Instagram, shit, I might even put that bitch on TikTok just to make sure everybody sees that shit. But these cops weren't messing with all that. They pull out the strap and start threatening to send McCall to the afterlife. And McCall's like, I bet. He elbows the cop, then slams his head onto the wall, grabs the pistol, smacks bro in the face with it, and tosses him on the ground. The first dude tries to scramble back up, but gets backhanded into next week. Then the very next day, these niggas woke up at 6 a.m. and returned every single cent. Rafi's mom out here thanking God. Nigga, you should be thanking Denzel. So remember when I said Teddy was all about his business? Yeah, he ended up strangling Terry's best friend because she didn't want to tell him which hospital Terry was at. And that just got me wondering, how do people that do this even sleep at night? I can barely sleep after watching a horror film. My ass gotta watch The Simpsons or Barbie to clear my head. So Nikolai pieces together that on the night that Slavy's crew got whacked, there was one customer who walked in the restaurant and never came out. So they pull up on Denzel while he was just sipping his tea, reading his book. Bro, really just a chill guy. Dude right here thinks he's slick, acting like he's just here to eat. Meanwhile, McCall's over there like, so is it just gonna be you or are we waiting for somebody else? The guy doesn't even fight it. He just starts laughing knowing he's being caught. He whips out the Uzi and Denzel's like, I bet. Puts his book down and starts his watch. The moment homie steps closer, Denzel cracks him with the book, knocks the Uzi to the ground and snaps his neck with the goddamn book. And listen, I do not own a firearm, but best believe from this day forth, I'ma keep that novel by my hip. He cuts the power, then walks right out the front and starts taking pictures of these niggas. Like, at least smile for the camera, gang. Denzel knows that Teddy wants him alive, so he lures them back to the construction site. They trail him but lose sight of him. He pops out of the shadows and starts belting the shit out of this nigga. He never saw that shit coming. Quickly snagging dude's phone and heading back to the trap house. He got shot, so he had to patch himself up real quick. And boiling hot honey is wild, because I just know that shit burns. So while McCall's still healing up using his med kit, Teddy and his goons pull up to McCall's crib. But here's the gag. He has 2 identical houses. He was posted up at the other spot watching them raid his apartment like, these niggas really thought they can catch me like it that easy? He rigged the place with cameras everywhere and even went as far as buying a fake plane ticket to Mexico, leaving in the morning just to throw them off their tail. But Teddy's peeping the whole thing and realizes he's too smart for something that simple. He looks at his squad and was like, find him or I'll bring people who can. Then dips. The man's clearly not playing around, but let's be real, McCall's like at least 10 steps ahead of these niggas. The next day, Denzel goes to visit Susan. an old friend. And that's when we learned the truth about Robert McCall. He was a retired Marine gunnery sergeant, an ex-DIA operative who faked his death because that was the only way to get out alive. Nigga completely changed his whole identity. Polo G did the same thing. The reason he came to Susan was to get more information about Nikolayenko and the man he works under, Vladimir Pushkin. Once finding out all the info he needed, McCall throws on his black Air Force Ones, meaning he was about to go all in. Y'all remember Frank? Yeah, that same guy from Stranger Things. Anyways, he pulls up to his crib, sets off his car siren, had his ass running to the garage. The second he opens the door, McCall smacks his head onto the roof, pops him in the gut, then clips him in the jaw, yanking him right in the car. But that wasn't it. His Swift kicks him in the face, leaving his ass dazed, then cuffs his wrist right onto the steering wheel. And it was safe to say, that nigga ain't going nowhere. He grabs a seat, sits down, and starts the car. We realize he's rigged the hole from the exhaust straight into the car, turning it into a gas chamber. Frank then starts gasping for air, about to pass out. But Denzel cracks the window open just enough to say, Pushkin, I want it all. Who, what, when, where, why, and before you say you're not going to talk, click, nigga just rolls the window right back up, letting the carbon monoxide work its magic. McCall rolls the window down again, but Frank starts yelling, do you know who I am? Do you know who you're dealing with? I'm a goddamn police officer. Bro. So McCall just goes, beep, rolls that shit right back up. Frank's inside basically fighting for his life, so McCall opens it again and was like, I don't have much time, which means you don't have any. But Frank still won't talk, so McCall closes the window and walks out. And next thing you know, Frank is out here tagging along with McCall at the meat factory. Turns out that nigga ended up flipping like a pancake. They pull up to the warehouse where they keep all the stash and head straight to the back to talk to Andre. Hey, we gotta move everything. This spot's been compromised. But Andre's not having it. We are not moving nothing until we get orders from Pushkin. And who's this piece of shit you came with? McCall's like, hey, I'm the new guy. Pushkin made the call. Andre side-eyes him because he can tell something is off. McCall asks us to see Andre's Glock. Dude's like, oh, you wanna see my gun? And shoves it right in his face. McCall hits the Uno reverse, snatching that shit and aiming it right back at him. What's good, hoe ass nigga? Now tell all your men to drop their guns. And Andre wasn't listening, so McCall points the gun right on his nuts. And I guess that's all it takes because he folds. He pays off the workers and Frank calls it in. And when the boys in blue show up, they find 500 million stacked in a freezer alongside with Andre's goons. I know them niggas were cold as shit. But it doesn't stop there. McCall grabs Frank's USB loaded with all the dirt, girls, transactions, even oil shipments, and sends that straight to the police. After that, he goes straight to the docks and blows the whole damn place sky high, containers and all. Nigga just shut down like 100 businesses in one hit. Teddy calls in a Russian hitman because shit was getting way too out of hand. Funniest scene ever, this dude here sitting with the glasses is apparently Russia's top hitman. Nigga like, I'll find McCall. Then goes to the bathroom and 2 minutes later McCall comes back and drops his glasses right on the table and tells him he ain't coming back. And man, I can only imagine the quick ass whipping he got in the toilet. Shit must have been quicker than Conor McGregor knocking out Jose Aldo. Denzel looks at Teddy and was like, you had enough? Because I could keep going, brick by brick, dollar by dollar, body by body, or you can call your boss and tell him to shut down the whole operation. And Teddy's like, hey, that's not really much of an offer. Denzel looks at him dead in the eye and was like, when you pray for rain, you gotta deal with the mud too. And I don't know, man, that shit was just heat. I wrote that shit down straight away. I'm probably gonna be saying that shit randomly in every video from now on. But y'all gotta promise something. If y'all hear that shit from me, just act like I made it up. He tells Terry that he gave up this life for good, that he promised his wife he will never break out the black Air Force Ones again. But for this, he's gonna make an exception. He scribbles his phone number on a piece of paper, then drops it on the table and dips. Pushkin calls Teddy and was like, you better shut this down. Your life is on the line. So Teddy digs up some intel on McCall's warehouse job and ends up taking them as hostages. Teddy demands McCall to meet him at the docks or he'll start dropping his colleagues. So McCall agrees to that but pulls a pump fake, leaving the phone on the bus, making it seem like he was heading to the docks. But instead, he slid straight to the warehouse and turned on the speakers, cranking that new card he had that guard running out to the control room trying to turn that shit off. As soon as he gets there, McCall pops out, snatches his gun and then rocks him in the jaw. But that was not it. He clips him on the kneecap so hard, had dude on both knees looking like he was about to praise the Lord, then smacks him and cracks his neck. Rafi just standing there in straight shock. Up until now, he just thought McCall was just that chill co-worker. Little did he know that boy was a demon. McCall snatches the goon's radio and fakes a distress call. Hey quick nigga, I need backup, come to the lobby. He goes straight to the lobby and sees Rafi all confused, then turns around and catches 2 face shots with a fire extinguisher, knocking his ass out. McCall tells Rafi to get everybody out. Then Teddy calls Denzel like, real clever what you pulled, but no more games. I'm coming to you. And McCall's just like, oh yeah? Come get me, pussy. So Teddy's in the warehouse, but now he's with his elite 5, his best men. As far as we're concerned, this is 2018 Golden State. Denzel locks all the doors, making sure nobody can get in and nobody can get out. He starts lining up the aisles with booby traps, like he's Kevin McAllister. Dan Bazilla here steps on a sandy spot, looks down and yank. He's hoisted up by the throat, choking. Meanwhile, Denzel's just up there watching him dangle, like say goodbye. Another guy creeps on the same aisle, notices the blood on the floor, and glances up, yank right through the neck. Poor guy never saw that shit coming. McCall quickly tries to reach for the strap, but Teddy fires off a shot, catching him on the shoulder. Denzel quickly runs out of there. He loses them, then poses up at this spot for a minute, patching up his bullet wound. And as soon as he finished medding up, he went right back on that field. 2 of Teddy's goons spots one of McCall's traps and started retreating. But you always gotta watch your back. Dude feels the tip of the drill at the back of his head, and that was the end of his story, drilling right into his brain. And I can't even hold you, that might have been the worst one yet. McCall catches this giant dude slipping in the bathroom aisle, shanking glass right into his back. Had bro screaming like he was giving birth. He presses McCall right into the wall, then tosses him around. McCall counters with a chin check, smashing the guy's face right into the mirror. But he was not done. He snatches the knife and stabs him 3 times to the body and 1 to the throat. But somehow this nigga is still standing. He definitely had 2 minis and a fucking chug jug before this shit. This guy slams Denzel to the ground and starts elbowing his leg, making this nigga howl in pain. Somehow McCall manages to grab a piece of shard off the ground and then just jams it in Brody's neck, and that was a wrap. Raph comes back for McCall but ends up getting shot trying to escape. McCall then tells Raffy to run to the breaker box to turn the lights on. Meanwhile, the last guard wanders into the lunchroom, hot on Denzel's tail, only to notice a bunch of pressurized aerosol cans spinning in the microwave. The second he realizes, boom! He did that boy like they did the Twin Towers. The sprinklers turn on and Teddy rushes Ralph, only for McCall to nail him literally from the bleachers. Teddy tries to raise his arm back up but eats 2 more nails, 1 to the chest and an extra for the shoulder. McCall clocks the gun back, clips him 1 more time, dropping him to his knees. But Teddy's a dog though. He tries getting back up just to get hit right back down. And Raffy's on the side trying to peek the whole shit. He ain't trying to miss no action. McCall locks and loads 1 final time, and Teddy gasping yells, "Who are you?" McCall presses that tool right by his neck and fires it, ending it right there. Relax, don't click out the video yet. McCall pulls up to Pushkin's house in Moscow while the nigga's in the shower. He was just chilling in the chair like, so I guess this is the final boss. Flicking the lights on and off before disappearing. Pushkin comes out the shower, shivering, scared as hell, and starts yelling for his guards, only to find out it's too late. He tries turning off the tap, but instantly gets electrocuted. McCall calmly strolls out, and as he does, you see the trail of bodies he's left behind, and it's safe to say, this nigga's like that.
Hey, ooh, yeah. Hey, listen, he really was though. Fudge. I'm like swerving in the car. Ooh. Oh my goodness. Listen, if you have not seen the Equalizer, make sure it is that you do. Dag nabbit. But Black Cape, shout outs to you. Thank you so much for the video. Shout outs to y'all in the chat. And shout outs to you at home. I will catch y'all in the next video.